All right. Welcome to another DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, and today's special guest is Amy Lyles. Amy, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Doing well. So I interviewed and talked to Ray Nichols a while back and saw him yesterday. As a matter of fact, he told me you gotta interview Amy Lyles. She's really awesome. And I was like, I don't even know. Like, I think I've seen your name and things like that. Here we are, and
Yeah.
took his recommendation, and I'm glad we're here today.
Yeah, Ray's the best. But yeah,
He
he's
is.
actually my neighbor. So we live like right around the corner from each other. So I see him all the time. Well, I used to, but haven't seen him in a while.
That's awesome. Look, he's a great runner. He's been a big influence in the community, I think. And you and I were talking a little bit before. I always call it the pre-show just so I get to know you slightly. And you mentioned that Melanie and Maddie.
Yep, we do. Maddie and we all know each other through Ray's track club. And then it was actually funny. I work for Plano West. So one morning before they closed the Plano West track, I had to be there really early for work because sports never stop. And it was during the summer and they were leaving the track. And I was like, wait a minute. What are you guys doing here? I was getting the water for our football kids. It was like people go to the track super early. And I saw Ray, Maddie, and Mel, and they were like, yeah, why are you here? And that's, I guess, was the very beginnings of Ray's Track Club. And I got added to the chat, and then things just blew up from there. And then I got really close with Melanie in 2019. We did CIM. She was ahead of me. We did CIM together, but Melanie was way over there and I was back that way. And then Maddie, Melanie, and I all have December babies together. So it's fun to keep track of babies. And I always reach out to them for mom stuff, especially training, because they're both very elite. So it's fun to talk to them and then you can talk about marathon training and then all of a sudden change to, holy cow, my kid did not sleep at all last night. And it's just good to have that mom bond.
And it's something I always think about is the community, right? You've created a community of other women, mothers that, have babies the same time you did, basically. And you have a lot in common and you're runners. So I think that's really awesome.
Yeah. It's
Do you still
great.
talk to them or?
For the most part, now that the babies are actually like Earthside, so everybody's pretty busy. But when I found out
Yeah.
Maddie was pregnant before she made her big announcement, I actually found out I was pregnant the next day after she had told me
No.
something weren't feeling right. And I woke up to a text message because I didn't feel good, like trying to take a nap. And I woke up to the text message from Maddie, like of her ultrasound. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's two babies in there. And then the next day, I was like, wait a minute. My heart rate was acting funky. I had just ran a marathon, so I thought maybe, that post-marathon virus. And I Googled like causes of heart rate and exhaustion. And the last thing was like pregnancy. Yeah, the next day after Maddie told me she was pregnant, I went and took a pregnancy test and I was like, oh, okay, well, me too. So I texted Maddie and Melanie like a picture of the pregnancy test and I was like, hey, look who's joining the club. So they had their babies in June, July, and then my son was born in October. Thankfully, only
Wow.
this. I don't know how Maddie does it with 3 under 2.
It's all a journey and it'd be great when they grow up a little bit, but you also have to enjoy the time that you have with them because they grow up so fast.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. One of my children just popped up. Yeah. It's crazy. I didn't think with the first one, I had no idea what I was doing. And so the second one, like now it just feels, I don't think I know what I'm doing, but it just feels like it goes by a lot faster.
Yeah, it does. And when you get that second one, you really start getting really busy. And I know that for me is because I have a couple of kids and there's stages throughout. And enjoy the stages while you can and bring them around your running journey. And as a matter of fact, let's talk a little bit about that. So you're a runner and you've done several marathons, but I want to get to know you a little bit about your journey and where you started and things like that.
Yeah, I was actually been trying to think about that. So I started running in the 7th grade. So I was 12. I grew up in a very small little rural community, Peloton, New Mexico. So nobody ever really knows it. So I just say I grew up north of Santa Fe by the casino. If you ever go up north to Colorado, I'm where all the casinos are.
Uh-huh.
My mom actually made me start running in 7th grade. Where I grew up, everybody loves basketball. And so I thought I was going to be this hooper. I'm all of 4'9" at that point. Like I can't, no. So my mom made me run cross country and I had no choice. And I hated it in 7th grade, but I was good at running. Like when I played basketball, my favorite part of practice was suicides. It was the only part I was good at and I was competitive. So I liked the suicides. I played soccer. I was the fastest one down the field, but had no idea what to do with the ball. So I got scared. So in 8th grade in New Mexico, if you're fast enough, you can run varsity. So I got put on the varsity as an 8th grader. And I kept telling my high school coach, like, no, I don't want to go to state cross country. I just want to be the alternate. I just want to be the alternate. I don't actually want to run. Like I want to go, but like I want to be the 8th man, not the 7th. And yeah, I ended up I was our third runner at state my 8th grade year. And then we ended up, it was the last time my high school team, we used to have a really competitive cross country team. And then I don't really know, I think COVID, especially in that, New Mexico took COVID like really serious. And that kind of just killed the sports a lot, especially cross country. They had to like really build. But we won state my 8th grade year. And after that, I was just hooked ever
Wait,
since.
I'm confused. So you said in 8th grade or when you're in high school that you're running cross country and it used to be good, and then
Yeah, we're not very
COVID killed it. So
well,
I
yeah,
feel
no,
like
yeah, the
you're
program.
way
Oh yeah, no, I jumped ahead. I graduated. That was in 2003, but
okay.
yeah, no, we were really
You're talking
competitive.
about the program you have now with
Yeah, the program
cross
they
country
have.
at your
Yeah,
high school or that high school that you're at. Got it.
yeah, it's not good, but no, we were really competitive when I was in high school, and then I don't know, it's really sad actually. Like before I graduated college and then moved to the DFW, I was really wanted to go back home and be the athletic. I'm an athletic trainer. I'll talk that in a second, but go back home and be the athletic trainer for my hometown. But now living in the DFW, I don't think I could ever go back to my hometown. It's so small, which I love it. I love everything about it. I loved high school. It's just, yeah, I don't think I could, like my graduating high school class was like 130 people. And then the school I work at now, my entire high school, I think would fit in my freshman class.
Did you know? So I went to Little Elm High School, and when I went, we had literally, I think 918 people that were even in Little Elm. So you probably know where Little Elm is today and how big it is. And I had 47 people in my graduating class. So it's
Good.
grown that much. Now they have 70 or 80, I don't know, 1,000 people, big
Yeah.
5A school. We were a
No,
2A school then.
There's 6A now because we for
Or
Plano
6. No.
scrimmage them for football because I've been to that stadium a couple of times.
Okay, there's 6A now.
Yeah. Yeah. So in high school, I always found myself injured. And then my senior year of high school, I wanted to get all these cross country scholarships and I knew I wanted to run in college. But my senior year, I fell off my parents' porch and I hurt my hip. And I still don't really know to this day what I did. It was such a freak accident. It was so stupid. I missed a step and fell down like 2 or 3 on a concrete. And looking back, I don't know if I had like a labrum. I don't really know, but we didn't have an athletic trainer at my school. So I just like grinned and bared it and then missed my whole senior year of cross country. So then ended up running in college, a small little D2 school, Western New Mexico University, but I was not very good. I think I was just burnt out. I was out of shape from being injured. And to be honest, I think I wanted to party more than
Yeah,
I
of
did
course.
actually run because I'm faster now than I actually was in college. But in college is actually how I got introduced to athletic training, which I am now. So I do the medical for high school sports. So my senior year of high school, like I wish somebody could have been there to help me, but I always thought it was physical therapy because we didn't have a physical therapist. So I went to college, got a major in kinesiology and then a minor in sports medicine. But my senior year of undergrad, I decided not to run cross country anymore. I just really did not enjoy it anymore. I loved to run, but I did not like being a part of that team. I didn't like my coach. We just didn't bond. I didn't like my teammates. I had more friends outside of it. And it was finally reached the point where I was like, I don't like this anymore. I don't get paid to do this. I'm not fast anymore. I'm hurt all the time. I just don't like it.
I mean, it sounds like you made the right decision, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I
you
had
weren't,
to.
it's a small school. You probably weren't getting a scholarship for it, and you're just doing it for
I did, but it was small. Well, in New
small.
Mexico, I mean, they have a really good program to keep high school kids in college. So it was the lottery.
Okay.
So I got the lottery scholarship, which paid for your tuition. And then I had the cross country scholarship, which was small. But my senior year, I was really close with the athletic director and the athletic trainers from taking those classes. So they told me like, hey, why don't you just get your scholarship in the training room this year and we'll supplement it that way. So I was still able to get money. And that's actually when I decided,
Perfect.
no, I want to be an athletic trainer. I actually really like this aspect more than I liked the physical therapy aspect of it. So that's when I really got into athletic training. And then I graduated from undergrad in 2011 and then went and got my master's from Texas Tech in athletic training. And then, yeah, I didn't run a ton in grad school, to be honest, because grad school was hard, well, obviously. And then it came down to sleep or running. So I ran when I could, but grad school hours and plus athletic training hours, like my hours are pretty wacky. Sports are either before school or after school in the middle of the day. Games are any day of the week. And I'm there before the games start. I'm there till the games end. So in grad school, we had our full course load of 8 to 12. We were in classes and then we would go to our clinical site and just work till that clinical site hours were done. So
So let's back up a little bit. Out of curiosity, what was the longest run that you've ever run before during kind of this time from seventh grade till where you are in grad school?
I did a half marathon in Leadville, not Leadville, oh my gosh, in Los Alamos, New Mexico. It was a handicap. It was 2011. I did my first half marathon and that kicked my butt. I had no idea. And it was trail. I had trained on trails in Silver City, New Mexico, where I went to undergrad, which actually helped a ton in the Gila National Forest. It was beautiful. Loved it. And then I did my first half and right after I finished, right before I started grad school. And then, that was interesting.
And then just quit running altogether. Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. And then
Okay. I just wanted to see where you were from a running standpoint there.
My last year of grad school, I got back into running because I was in a clinic where the hours were a lot more sustainable versus working Texas Tech soccer when they were in season, or football season in Texas is a different beast for coaches and us. And so my last year of grad school, I actually ran my first half marathon ever. But it was on the road. It was very interesting. I was actually the Big D. I don't know if you remember the Big D.
I do. Yeah. That's my first marathon. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the Big D, which obviously that Malou is not around anymore. One of my really good friends from grad school, we went and did it together. It was right after I'd taken my boards test. So I was exhausted. And I just remember, I think that when you could still run through Highland Park at that time. And just remember seeing somebody walking their Great Dane and just being like, gosh, I could ride that back to Fair Park. I would be done. I'm so over this.
Exactly.
I'm so tired. I think I broke. I don't even know. I don't know if I looked at the results. I think I didn't even break 2 hours. It was just, it kicked my butt. It was so hard. And it hot. Lubbock's dry and gross. But like Dallas is also, April here can be a mess. And then
it can.
Yeah, it was, so that was so I did my first trail half in 2011. April of 2013 is when I did my first like road half. And then,
so I'm curious, when you think about, you're an experienced runner, we'll get into all that in a minute now, but back then, did you have like a training plan or a coach or what? I know you just said, I'm just going to run a half marathon.
No, that's
okay.
When I was in college and I trained for that first half, my professor at the time, I actually really need to get back in touch with him, Dr. Harris. He was a great dude. His wife is a professional cyclist. He's like an exercise phys coach genius. He helped me get back into it and gave me like a makeshift training program. And then in grad school, I followed my friend's plan and I think we ran 10 miles like once. And I was like, I didn't know anything about fueling. I didn't know anything about gels. I don't know anything about anything like I do now. I know we drank. So I took my boards test that Friday and then the race was on Sunday. I know I drank on Friday after that test. Sorry, Mom.
Would you drink a lot of water? Or?
Oh, no. There's this place in Lubbock called Chimmy's and they have the best frozen margaritas. So I know we finished that test at 11 o'clock and just went straight to Chimmy's and had a couple.
You think they're still around or?
Yeah, that place is very popular. There's actually one in Lubbock Fort Worth. And they have, if you get the check there, I think they're still around. It was good, but it's like right across the Texas main campus. And so ran that first half marathon, kicked my butt. I just was not in shape. And then after that, it kickstarted my journey into marathoning because that fall of my first year out of grad school, I ran my first marathon in 2013 and got my butt kicked again. And I know that's the problem. I know, so dumb. That's actually like my first journey into figuring out why I get injured all the time. But we were going to do the half. My best friend had gotten her PhD from UT San Antonio. And she was like, let's go run Rockville, San Antonio. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's do it. And then I looked at the prices and was like, Mariah, the full is only $10 more than the half. If we're going to go that far, we might as well pull the trigger and run the full. And when I tell you, it was hot that day. It was so hot. 2013. I think it was like 85 when we finished. And you know how freak Texas weather can be. Humid. It was awful. And I hit the windshield like a bug on a windshield at mile 20. It was a one run walking. Like it was brutal. And I never ran a marathon. I think I did one 20-mile run, just made it up. She had trained really hard for a marathon. And then I just hopped into what she did, but just added on to the end. And oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I died.
Of course.
Yes. Yeah. But then I ended up so this is my transition into like when most people get hurt, they get like tendon issues, hamstring issues. I get stress fractures and I don't really know
That's
why.
because you're doing too much at one time.
No, we actually found out that was my first like real stress fracture. I've had a few in high school, but that one I got one in my foot. And I just thought it was because I had done too much too soon. And then it about like you'll see in my little marathon journey, like I just stress fracture after stress fracture. So then in what year was it? Fall of 2017. No, I think it was in 2018, 2019. I actually
Okay.
I saw a doctor at the Carroll Clinic and I was like, what is happening? I've had 3 major stress fractures in 5 years, like big, like fibula, which is not a non-weight bearing bone, my foot, my tibia. Like, why do these keep jumping around from spot to spot? So I got a referral to get a bone density scan. And I actually have like significant bone density issues. Like I would basically be considered osteopenia, osteoporosis, but I'm pre-menopause, so they won't actually consider me osteoporosis. But we don't know why. And I've done a ton of research on it. Like I think in some aspects of my life, I've never had like a true eating disorder, but I think I've lived in that red zone without even realizing I wasn't eating enough for as much as I was training. But I don't have a significant history of eating disorder. I've never had chemo. I went and saw a geneticist and went through my family history and they tested for what's it called? Like brittle bone disease. Like I don't have any of that. So I'm in this weird area that there's not a ton of research on because most research on women is lacking in general, which I've found, especially elite. I'm not an elite, but like athletic women, especially with like breastfeeding and bone density issues, none of that. So I've done a ton of research, but yeah, I have really bad bone issues. So I have to like really adjust my running now. But I found that out in 2019. I think, yeah, it was 2019 because then I went and ran the New York City Marathon and then I ran CIM in December and then the vid
Did you start eating more? Or it sounds like I'm
yeah.
just curious. Like,
Yeah, I eat. Well, I try to like, I don't do any meals fasted, like any runs, any kind of physical activity like fasted anymore. Cause I used to do that. I wouldn't wake up with enough time to eat. I'm just like, I'm fine. And then I would go run 10 to 12 miles and I wouldn't eat. I feel like crazy now after like tons of research on that.
have you
And
found
then,
that helped?
yes, my bone density has improved compared to when it was. It's still really not great, which sucks. But I talked to one doctor and hoping she's on the right path is that there's not a ton of research and maybe I am considered normal, just on the low end of normal. But since nobody really goes and gets a bone scan unless you're in a case like mine or you have a significant other history that causes you to do that. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey trying to figure out how to manage that. So I ran a marathon. I ran New York in 2019, and then I ran CIM in 2019 and like PR'd at CIM and then had to take a giant break from one, COVID happened, and then two, I had a baby and the baby.
Well, let's back up. So I'm curious because I always ask people whether they like it or not. What was your CIM time? What was a
My
PR then?
CIM time was a PR of 3:21:30
Okay.
something. I just looked that up earlier. Yeah. So my PR originally, I had ran it at grandma's in 2017 and it was a 3:22. And then I went to CIM and had what I thought at the time was like the best race day ever. And like things could have went great, but I ran Houston, which I can talk about in a little bit. That was like my dream day, especially considering what I came back from. I think I was a 3:21 at CIM, which I loved CIM. I think it was
Yeah.
such a cool
A lot of people
experience.
love that.
Yeah. Actually, outside of the race itself, my best friend and I, she was supposed to run it with me, but she actually got pregnant. We did the coolest offset thing just to save money, but we actually stayed at the hostel right outside of the Capitol building. It was
Spent a lot of money.
yeah, it was so cheap. But thankfully, we booked ahead enough that we didn't have to share a room with some randoms that we took because I wouldn't have liked that. But the coolest thing about that was the breakfast the morning before, the day before the race. It was just runners from like all over the country, all just sitting in this
Pretty
like
cool.
dining area, like just talking about running and where you're from. I think that might have been, besides the PR, but that might have been my favorite part of that whole trip was just let's just save money to go do this. And then, yeah, we just met people from all over the world, all different goals. And then I made friends with this one girl. We got on the bus together. We chatted the whole way up to the top. It was so cool. That was
Get
like
her
my favorite part.
Insta or did you know?
No, I remember talking to her, but like probably should have because we had both qualified for Boston at the time. And then the plan was to go. And then COVID obviously happened. But
Yeah.
that was
So on some of those runs, did you find a community of people within Dallas to
yeah.
run
So
with, or what? How did that look like?
Yeah, for training through CIM, I would train with, it was what, I forgot what Pegasus was before it was Pegasus. At that time, I met like Fonz and Nick
Yeah.
Polito and all of that. Jill, actually, I met Jill in Houston when she had her first like big break from Houston or big breakout at Houston. But yeah, and then I've met just a ton of other people throughout, run with the co-op, and then yeah, it's just all over the place.
Who's your
And then
favorite person to ever run with?
after that question, I have my favorites from each training block, but some of the people here are like, that's why whenever I get injured, I'm always like, I'm lonely. I have no friends because you see
Exactly.
at 5 o'clock in the morning. But we've actually made through RTC and like this little group of people that live by us. We actually have this little Castle Hills running group. So that's been fun. Like when I was training for Houston, it's like Ray, David, Record, Dan Club, just like a small little group of us that would meet Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays by the house. And so that was nice. So those are probably my people now.
Yeah,
I,
I
I
was joking around. It was kind
yeah,
of a fun little.
but I can't
It
actually.
sounds like you ran with a lot of different people, so thought I'd
Yeah.
put you on the spot.
Uh,
All right, so
Yeah, back in
you
my
ran
trouble.
CIM, and yeah, it's like, what kind of question was that? My favorite person is Ray or whatever.
No, race that section. Just kidding.
Yeah, I hope he hears that. You know what? I'm gonna just highlight that particular moment
But yeah,
and
race.
send it over to him. So you run CIM, you get a PR, you're pretty happy, and then what happened after that?
The bid basically happened. COVID happened. The world shut down. So my trajectory into what the heck is going on. So my plan was always though, I was actually my husband and I told my husband, like, no, I'm running the New York City Marathon and I want to have a baby. Like I want this one big marathon because I'd been hurt again before that. Another stress fractures in plantar fasciitis, got that really bad from standing so much with football games. That really was awful. So I ran New York and then I was like, maybe we should wait till CIM because I was on birth control. And I don't want to get off of birth control while trying to train for a marathon and screw up the hormones. Ran CIM and then the plan was to have a baby and then COVID happened. And so I actually was running a ton during COVID because there was nothing else to do. My school was closed. There was no sports. And I actually ended up getting a stress fracture in my pubic bone. Yeah, it was awful. Then at the same around the same time, I found out I was pregnant. So I was like, what the heck? And so I actually didn't really run a ton while pregnant. Like I thought I let my pubic bone heal. And then throughout my entire pregnancy, my pubic bone would just, it hurt so bad. But I was pregnant. Like I was large and in charge. Like I can't, of course, your pubic bone hurt. So I still tried to run while pregnant, but I was
Yeah.
just like walking up until like I had my son. And then after that, took like the really long route of trying to not hop into running too soon. I had done a ton of research about like pelvic floor health, had seen a pelvic floor physical therapist, tried to do everything I could to try and come back to normal, but things still didn't really feel right. I just started forcing the run because I was so impatient. Because I was like, what the heck? I know all these people that are having babies around the same time as me. They're already back running. They're doing everything like wonderful. Like I'm going to do it too. And then I remember it was the summer and my son was like 6 months post. He was like 6 months old and I went for this 12-mile run. And I knew things weren't right because I couldn't go fast. And I wanted to do a marathon that fall, but it was like, I can run, but it's still very uncomfortable. I would get this, like what I call just like my ab pain, but it was basically like radiating pain from the stress fracture. Went for a 12-mile run and then just was like, this sucks. One, it was already starting to be the summer. He's 6 months. So it was like June. And then I saw Logan Sherman and I told him what was going on. And he actually adjusted my pubic bone, which felt great. And then 3-4 hours later, I was like, you know what? This hurts. And it's not fault to Logan. Like he was just doing his job. Just something just still didn't feel right. So and like finally, sometimes I have to have like come to Jesus with myself where I'm like, okay, is this runner Amy talking or like athletic trainer Amy with the medical background? No, you're hurt. Like you've been hurting for 6 months.
Obviously,
like,
you're hurt. Yeah.
Yes, this is not, you still can't go fast. Your stride is awkward. Go to the doctor. So I went, and thankfully for my job, I actually have a lot of connections with a lot of orthopedics. So I texted our doctor friend at the time and was like, hey, I'm not okay. Can we just go ahead and get an MRI, like get something done? And I got my MRI back and I had a very significant stress fractures on like both sides of my pubic bone. And it's called, I had the stress fractures and then osteitis pubis, which is common in pregnant women and runners sometime from like the repeated stress to the pubic bone. And then I had a tear in my adductor muscle that like connects to the pubic bone. So that
sounds bad.
Yeah, it was awful. That took me out for a year. So I could not run for a full year. It was such a pain in the butt. I did all the physical therapy. I did all the pelvic floor therapy. And then I had actually, at 6 months, I was like, it has to be better. Tried to get run walking again. The pain came right back. Got another MRI because I was like, I already met my deductible. Might as well go get an MRI. life again.
Okay.
Got the MRI that December, and it was still had the stress fracture. There was signs of healing, but I still had the stress fracture. So then I had to wait chose to wait like another 6 months. So that took me out a year. I found a wonderful physical therapist, and her name is Dr. Erin Simon. I have to shout her out and Dr. Amelia, she's wonderful, but I'll send this to them. But I met Dr. Simon through Gait Happens. It's this online chiropractor community, and they're legit because I had gotten plantar fasciitis really bad to the point where I was like Googling surgery to see if somebody would just cut it so it would get better, and met with them. One of my friends, also perks of being an athletic trainer, have a lot. Like I'm like Megan, one of my really good friends, Megan. Please tell me what's wrong with me. Fix me. I need you to fix runner, not athletic trainer Amy, because I don't know how to fix myself right now. So she referred me to Gait Happens, who then referred me through Dr. Simon through that program. And then she was like one of the sole people who like really helped me get back to running. So it came down to really learning how to breathe and control your core. If the core top is unstable, the pubic bone and like it's all going to be off whack. I had to go through like major like adductor training, glute training, all of learning how to jump and absorb load, do all of that. But it took a full year to get back to running. And I had to start I have a picture of it because I took it and I was like, all right, I'm going to take a picture of this because this is the day that I'm going to look back and remember, okay, you started from zero. You can do with this. Like, you're okay. So yeah, I started like the 5 minutes run, 1 minute run, 1 minute walk times 5. And that was in June of 2023. No, was it
Somewhat
June?
recent.
2022 was when I started.
Okay.
Running. Yeah. And
All
then,
right. Wow. That's insane.
it took a year. And then also I'm a Peloton whore. I love Peloton.
At least you're doing something a little different.
Yeah. And so in that time, Ray and Laura, actually during the pandemic, Peloton offered 3 full months, 3 free months to their trying to like just to get people on their app, because that's when Peloton blew up, was during the pandemic when nobody could work out. So through that, I got hooked on Peloton because I stole a bike.
So Laura is Ray's wife. So that's who you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Just so people know.
Yeah. Laura and Ray got me into Peloton. So we would do like yoga together, or we would do core classes. And then I stole a bike. I say stole. I borrowed a bike from my school because I was like, there's nobody here and nobody's using it. So like I took a bunch of weights home, which are still at my house if my athletic director listens. And then I got a bike. So I would just follow along and started to like just cycle a ton and just became obsessed with that community, because while running, when you're hurt, it's so isolating and it can be so lonely, because my husband always makes fun of me and I'm like, I don't have any friends. And he's like, oh, shut up. Yes, you do. You just don't see them. Because my social activity is 5 o'clock in the morning when I see you, and we run for an hour and I talk about all the things. When you're hurt, it can just be like so lonely. And runners are inherently selfish, I like to say, and just because you're not actively training with somebody, it's easy to fall to the back burner. Peloton to me was just like this void that got filled. I love it. I'm still very much a Peloton whore. I did finally get a real bike. My mom helped me buy it because she was like, I'm tired of hearing you whine how bad you want a Peloton. Let's just get it. You can pay me back and we'll do like a payment plan. And she was like, because out of anybody that's going to use the Peloton, it will be you. And I was like, you're not wrong. So her name is Lola. That's my bike's name is Lola.
So, with Lola, is Peloton the same? Is it just as hardcore as it used to be, or is it some of the trainers gone? How does that work?
It's still, they've had some like fallbacks and some downfalls, but it's still very much hard. There's quite a few friends like in the DFW that I've made through Peloton. Like I became really close with Dave. She loves Peloton too. So like you can take like classes with people. So that was my way of getting still. But there's some instructors that honestly, I'm trying to go to New York in November to get into a class. Some of my friends are running New York and I was like, I want to go to Peloton. Like I'll cheer you on to the marathon, whatever.
They actually have real classes, like you can go face to face, or?
Yes, they do. They don't have as many as they used to, but I actually think they're a sponsor for the New York City Marathon. So I'm going to try to go to the runs. I'm going to try to meet all of them because I think I might cry. There's some instructors that like one of them quit. It was like my best friend died, which is dramatic, but she quit and I cried. I was like, oh my gosh, no, you don't even know me, but you helped me not ever fall until I'm giving up completely. I've cried on that bike. I have so many mantras from that bike. I love it. But yeah, sorry.
It's a great story. I still have some questions around that.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people fell into the Peloton, but it feels like it's died down a little bit. You're saying it hasn't. So that's interesting.
No, it has. Definitely. When the gyms opened up, people started and I don't think did their marketing very well, but I have quite a few friends who just got bikes. So I'm like, yes, welcome to the cult. But I hype anybody up to Peloton because you can do anything besides but the bike. You can go on an outdoor walk. There's strength classes specifically for runners. There's yoga for runners, meditation if you can't sleep in the middle of the night. Like they have just about everything on that little. I don't know, but
The corporate office is right here in Dallas, right off of Legacy West.
I've seen it, but I don't know if that's their actual office. I don't know because
They have a big office there. I've seen it.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I've seen like things available, like jobs and stuff that people send over.
See,
So,
maybe I just need to be a Peloton hype man. Like, just sign me up and just let me meet the instructors. That's all.
I don't know what they have in Dallas, whether it's just a corporate office and then but that's interesting. I like that you did that because a lot of times as runners, it's hard to make that shift to something different.
Yeah, it was. I've always thought I would be like a triathlon person, but one, I don't want to buy a bike, and two, swimming is hard. Like every time I get hurt, I'm like, I'm gonna swim, and then I'm like, no, this sucks.
Wait, did you say you don't want to buy a bike? You do Peloton all the time.
I know, but I can't commit to a road bike, and I'm too afraid to fall, to be completely honest. I'm klutzy. It's always a running joke of like when I'll fall.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you're very injury prone, it sounds. So
yeah.
Probably cycling is awesome and fun, but it feels dangerous sometimes to get on the road.
No, and I thought about it. Like my 4-year-old, we just got him a bike, so I'm like, I'm gonna bike with you, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna get a cheaper bike and let's see if
just a cheap bike and just ride with the kid.
But like with my crappy old lady bones, that's how I supplement a ton of the cardio and the everything else was through Peloton because I thought it took a long time. To be honest, I should have probably put myself like to see a sports psychologist because when I found out how crappy my bone density was, and then that year off of something that I've been obsessed with since I was 12, and like have that realization, like, am I actually going to be able to run again? It was let's be honest, that year I might tear up. Really hard, and it was a lot of time just like, why am I not getting better? What is happening? And then especially as a new mom, there's so much pressure, and I don't even think people realize they put that pressure on you, but you're going to have a baby. You're going to be so much faster. Just wait. You'll be so much faster. Oh, you didn't run while you were pregnant? What's wrong? Why didn't you do that? I did this. I ran 10 miles a day. I was born, like the day the baby was born, which is great for some people, but for a lot of people, like myself included, I just couldn't. And it was like,
you tried.
And I didn't. It got screwed up because I learned that the hard way again. But yeah, it was a weird conversation to have to myself. But I started running when I was 12. I heard of the Boston Marathon in the 8th grade from my high school coach who was running it. I just had to realize my dreams of doing this till I'm 80 are probably not very realistic anymore. I can't run the 80, 90 mile week. I tried. I got to 75. Got a stress fracture. And I just have to do what's right for me and then just try to ignore all of the outside pressures because it's so easy. Like I love runners and I love the runners in the DFW, but like the pressure of everybody running a marathon is always, oh, you're not a marathon. What are you doing? Well, you're not running 80 miles. You're not fast enough to run that PR. And like, okay, I have to like just tune it all out. So it's been.
I feel like that we put that pressure on ourselves because we're around that all the time. And we feel like maybe we should do that as well. Right.
Oh, yeah. And if somebody else is like, I don't believe in other people. Actually, I learned this from a Peloton instructor, but it's actually a Lil Wayne quote. I don't know if you listen to rap, but I love me some Wheezy, yes, baby.
I have, yes.
It's real G's roll in silence like lasagna. And it's basically, I live by that quote. Like you keep to yourself with the running, you do your own thing, and you just got to tune out the outside noise. And I heard that from a Peloton instructor. And I was like, that's not around, and I just have made the choice not to actively talk about my training and what I do to certain people, just so I cannot let those outside voices, as much as they mean, just get in my head. So I live by real G's roll in silence like lasagna.
Couple things, because I want to ask you a question about being pregnant and the things. It's a good point because I think that whenever you think about all those miles that people run, to me, like whenever I was training for marathons, I never really liked it. I've run 3 or 4 marathons. I've done 50Ks and several half marathons, 20 milers, et cetera, lots of things like that. And one thing that I didn't like was the training for a marathon because it was just too much and too long. And 20 years ago, I decided, you know what? I'm not running a marathon anymore. My wife basically said, she goes, Chris, you get mad every time you're done with a 20-mile training or whatever. Like, why? You don't seem to like it. Why are you doing it? And I was like, because the reason I was doing it is because I felt the pressure of the things that you were saying. You're running, back then I was running with Dallas Running Club, and I was pacing the 3 hours and 20 minutes group, and I felt I had to run a marathon. I'm pacing a fast group, or to me it was fast then. And she said that, and I was like, I don't have to run a marathon.
Yeah. That's
like,
like
or train.
Thing too, when I get hurt and I hear of other people getting stress fractures, is I always try to be that person's biggest support system. Or like anybody time I hear somebody hurt, like I always try to make it a point. I don't like Strava, but I still go creep. I'm just because I get lonely.
Sure.
Like,
A lot of people do.
hey, I saw you're hurt. Can I do anything? And these are like, especially if it's a stress fracture, just I'm like, hey, don't forget to check your vitamin D, take all of this stuff, like help get you into a doctor and just help people because I know how that feels. But it's a lot. Like, and like I said, it was an entire year. And I was like, what is happening? But yeah, I did that first run. I took a picture of it and I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm going to run a marathon again as a mom. It's going to happen. I don't care when it happens. And then I hired a coach, Neely Gracie. She's wonderful. And she helped me. It took me a while to start working with her again. Like, I didn't work with her till I think I had gotten my long run up. I think I could run like 30, 45 minutes straight. And then we started together. And then the plan was I ran my first half marathon back post baby fall. No, I'm sorry. It was what is it called? The one that's in April in Frisco. That everybody just.
Yeah, the half or.
Yes, I did the half.
Toyota one?
Yeah, no. The one that, oh my gosh, I should know that. I did it in April of 2023. Because then I was like, all right, I did that half, came back, got to that, and then...
It wasn't the Cowtown, right? That's not
No, it was the one in
that's
Frisco, April.
Frisco. Yeah, the people just did that one.
Yes, I know.
I thought it was Toyota something or another.
No, anyways. It is. No, that's going to bother me. I have a picture of it on my phone, but yeah, I did that. That was my first half back. It came back. Yeah, from that, got to that, and then I wanted to break. Actually, I wanted to finish, and I think I finished with a 130. 130. It was like somewhere between 133 and 131, like a high 131. I don't remember, but
That's really fast.
Yeah, I was really happy because I was like, what the heck? And I just wanted to
You're
finish.
back.
Yeah. And that's what I kept telling myself. I don't like to say a comeback. I just said it was a new beginning. And that was like my mantra for it. I had started from. Yeah. And that's what I even had a playlist on Spotify called The New Beginning because I run with music when I'm not with people.
I do too.
But yeah. Awesome. I was so happy. My son and my husband were there, which was great because that's like all I ever wanted. And then I just kept telling myself, like, Does
your husband run or anything, or is it just you?
He's gotten into 5Ks, but I don't think he would consider himself a runner. But he'll go run like a mile or two, which I think is great. But no, he's not like.
You don't have to be I think that it considers you as a runner. Nobody says this is what you have to do to be a runner. So
yeah. We've done a few 5Ks together, which is fun. We've pushed my oldest in the stroller once. That was interesting. It was cold and rainy, and he was like 1. He had just turned 1, and he was like, "What?" The whole 5K. Thank goodness it was only a 5K. But yeah, I did that, and then
stroller.
That June, I decided, all right, I'm doing Houston 2024, hell or high water. Like I'm doing it. I'm gonna qualify for Boston as a mom.
And you had a coach.
Yes, with Neely. And we came up with a plan. She's wonderful. She basically.
Is she a coach here in Dallas?
No, she's in Colorado.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I had met her. I got introduced to her through another friend who was working with her. And I was like, that sounds right. And she's a mom now. She's pregnant again, actually, with her third Olympic trial qualifier. I think she's gotten into I don't know if she's broken 230 yet, 230 marathoner, like low 230. And then she created a plan. She knew all about my bone history and my injury history. And so we made a plan. And yeah, I ended up running Houston. And then I did a lot of races in between that and Houston, and which kind of just showed like, oh my gosh, like I'm in shape. And it's cool because I only really ran 4-5 days a week. And it was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And then I started mixing in Sundays towards the end. But like Monday was
Peloton workouts too, or
like Tuesdays and Thursdays were like hard Peloton. Like it was an hour. Good. They have these Hidden Hills rides. So I would do an hour of those Hidden Hills every day. And then I was lifting is actually, I didn't talk about that, but I lift a lot too because of the bone health. It's really good for bone density. So I lift 2 to 3 times a week, maybe more depending on the week. But like on the days I would run hard. So like Wednesdays were like my speed work days. And then we would do like a workout in the long run on Saturdays. But yeah, on June, whatever day Houston Marathon opened up that fall or that summer, I was like, all right, That's it.
Is it
And I text my friend
23 that you ran it or 24?
24, January
Okay.
20. Yeah. So I text my friend
So not all that
Annabelle.
long ago.
Yeah. No, who was my wonderful training partner. She's awesome. That's another chick I'll give you her information for. She's
Who is
amazing.
this?
Annabelle Meyer. So I text her and I was like, all right, we're doing it. Like, no matter what, we're going to finish. And she was also, she's BQ'd plenty of times. So we both wanted to try to have the best race possible. But since I'm in Carrollton, Plano area, and she's in Dallas, we really only could do like our long runs together. But every Saturday, it was nice just to have her there and just have that accountability. But yeah, and then leading up to
Where'd y'all
Houston,
run? Did you run at the lake or?
yeah, we'd meet at, she's real big with Pegasus and Fawns. She was being trained for Fawns at the time. And yeah, we would
So
meet every Saturday. Yeah.
got it. Okay.
And then, yeah, I ran the DRC half that November. Yeah, because I did 3 big races like back to leading up to Houston. And I was like, oh my gosh, in the middle of the training box, I was like, Neely, you're going to kill me. And she was like, no, actually, just really, you need to get used to racing and you need to start racing hard. Okay. So I did the DRC half. And then 2 weeks later, I did the 8 miler for the turkey trot, the Dallas turkey trot. And then
Yeah.
my half PR, I ran my half PR in at the Dallas half marathon, which I
What
never
was
actually,
your PR?
I ran a 1:28:50 something.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I was so happy because that's my big PR. But like, I never hadn't broken 1:30 yet. I was like, I know I can do this. Like, I have the 5K speed and like the 200 turnaround, like to do this. Like, why can't I ever do it? And I did finally. I ran a 1:28, and that was the year I was so mad. The course was measured wrong because of the construction. So like I was sprinting in for my whole life and I was doing the math. My last 3 miles were in the 6:30s. Like I like to negative split races a lot. So I was coming in and I was doing the math and I was like, what is happening? You know, that's
That's
just not
crazy.
runner's math. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, I know I'm not that dumb. Like, I'm not good at math, but I know I'm not messing this up. And yeah, I came through the clock. It was like 1:29:54, 1:29. It's like, I was so sad because I knew my splits were like a 6:40 average. There's no way. And then they came back like, no, here's the adjusted time. I was like, oh, finally I did it. But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember that race. I raced it too, and I
So
think
that
I
was
got a
the
135
hardest.
that year. But
Yeah, it was a sprint for my life trying to get under. I just remember seeing that clock and being like, what is happening? And just, yeah, I was so mad.
yeah, 13.7 later
Yes, I
or
looked at the
whatever it
clock and I
was.
remember I was texting Javier Chola about it and I was like, dude, what is going on? He's like, you're fine. You broke it. And I was like, no, my splits. Like, it should have been better. But yeah, then they fixed it. Thankfully, they fixed it.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah,
That's awesome, by the way. That's
thanks.
really great to run that time at Dallas. Half is really good.
Yeah, I was very happy. And like I said, that whole training block, everything just felt right and fell into place. And then, yeah, I did. And I was in the middle of like marathon training. So I think like the next week I had my first 20-mile run, which is scary when you haven't ran one of those in a really long time. But I did 2:20s and then, yeah. And then typical klutzy Amy, I was on a run with Dan Club and I fell, busted my arm in a pothole by an Andes. It was New Year's Eve. And then, yeah, went into Taper Town, swollen and bruised. And then, yeah, we made it to the marathon, Houston, 2024, that January. It was,
But you weren't injured. You were just
no,
got hurt. That was it.
no, I
Okay, that's
busted
good.
my elbow. Yeah, it was so swollen. Thankfully, I was actually really scared. But honestly, every big training block I have, I fell. Like, so I'm like, oh gosh, I knew it was going to happen eventually. I'm so clumsy, so annoying. I don't fall a lot. I just give gravity, like I'm just giving the ground a hug. So gravity works.
But you keep on. That's the
Yeah.
story to me is that this woman she gets hurt, but she keeps focusing on trying to get better. She does other things outside of running because she has to build that community, not just the community, but yourself. Working out is important to you. It's a lifestyle. So you continue to push. And I love that.
Yeah, I'm annoyingly determined. But yeah, Houston. Then I ran my PR by like 7. Sorry, I'm looking at my times. By 7 minutes. So I ran a 3:14:25. Yeah, it was awesome. It was the best day I could have asked for. Oh, I was a wreck it was the worst morning before the race. But this will probably play in for later. And I'm sorry if this is TMI, but I was supposed to start my period that day. And I was like, ah, crap. Like, really? You run a marathon the first time in however many years and you're going to start that day? Are you kidding me? That'll play into the baby number 2 coming in a second. Yeah, I started that morning. You wake up at 4:30. I'm trying to eat. My 4-year-old starts throwing up. I was like, what is
Yeah.
happening? We're all in the same bed. I'm like, yeah, he just looks at me. I text Randy and Caitlin, my friends, and I'm like, I need you guys to talk me off of the ledge because I haven't ran a marathon in how long? I didn't sleep great the night before. I just didn't really sleep. Logan's throwing
Yeah.
up. feel like I'm about to start my period any second. This is awful. And so they were like, you're fine. You're good. Just come, because I
Make it
went to
happen.
their hotel room, and because Caitlin ran the first half of the marathon with me, they went to their hotel room and they were like, you're good. They just talked me down, and we did the Run Pegasus like picture. I saw Annabelle, gave her a hug. And then, oh my gosh, walking into that race was like, honestly, I don't even know if I could have had to run the race, but just like making it to that starting line was just like everything to me. Healthy. Oh, the emotions walking up to that starting line were unreal. I kept telling people like, you're here. They were like telling me, I was like, don't, just leave me alone. I'm cry. I just stop, please stop. I didn't want to cry before, but yeah, that race was like, the fueling was great. I worked with the nutritionist through Neely, through my coach. So I got to work with her, and that got dialed in the fueling. I ate more for the marathon than I felt like I was like the Pillsbury Doughboy walking up to that starting line, because she had me eat so much before.
Sounds like it worked.
Yeah, I took 7 gels, like all the things. I was so hydrated. I stopped to pee twice, which was annoying. I don't know how people pee themselves while running. I just don't think I can do that. So I stopped to
I
pee
don't either.
twice. No, like Randy
Dang.
told me, like, just pee yourself. And I was like, no.
How do you do that?
I'm like, I can't. Like, so I stopped to pee twice. But yeah, it was a 7-minute PR. And then I negative split the back half by 2.5 minutes. Yeah, I had a lot left in the tank. My last mile, I broke 7. So that was even cooler. I ran like a 6:50 something. So I clearly had
Pretty impressive.
a lot left. Yeah, it was wild, because I remember it was somewhere near 10
Well, you
years.
got to rest a couple times because you had to stop and pee. So
I know. At the second one, I was like, do I have to pee, or am I just nervous? And then finally at a mile and a half, I was like, oh no, I have to pee. Like, I'm going to go pee. I cannot hold this. But yeah, it was right around TCU. I told my friend Caitlin, who had run most of it, like, I was running like in the mid 7:20s. And I feel a little panicked. Like, I should be going faster, but I'm actually like just okay where I'm at right now. I feel like I said, I don't want to blow up. I understand like PR or ER, but if I ran a marathon in 5 years, I just really want to finish. I told her the plan was like, all right, I'm going to get to 16, and then I'm going to start dialing down. And then 16, that's a lake loop. That's 10 miles. It's just, I know that like the back of my hand. And then it just started like clicking. And I was like, what is happening? This is not very hard. Like, I feel good. I had my little music blasting. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, everything like, yeah, I don't even know what happened, but yeah, I just kept cruising along, and things just kept feeling better, and took another gel.
You changed everything. That's what happened, right? You got a coach, you got a nutritionist, or your coach was helping you with nutrition. You were running the miles. You were racing beforehand. You did a lot of things different than you ever have before. So that's what clicked.
Yeah.
And to me, that I don't know that you truly hit your potential, but you definitely hit PR and an amazing, and had an amazing race. So,
yeah,
but
it was.
So that's amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, like I said, it was just like the best day. My kid and my husband were there. It was just, oh, I'm so happy. I'm glad I got the video. You can go back and watch a recording, but just like the elation, the relief, oh my gosh, I just did it. I finally, like, just the relief of I did this. I haven't look at where you came from. You literally had to start all over again. I did it. And I tried not to set myself up too much, because especially the people that you've had on this podcast, I'm like, I'm on the better side of average. But that was my day, and nobody could have taken away from it. I was just so happy. And then, yeah, it was.
Comparing yourself is just, it's useless, because we are who we are. There's always somebody faster. There's always somebody slower. And so you did your best, and you did some really great things that other people can take away easily.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It was a wonderful, I just am still so happy. But then, yeah, we took a couple weeks off, and this is where did end up starting the period mid-race. I would like it to be known.
During the race, you did?
Yes. Right. I remember I finished, and I was like, oh, I got to go. And then, so finished the marathon, was talking to my coach, and the goal was Boston, this past Boston. So I guess April of 2025, we were going to go. And then the plan was to have a very serious conversation with my husband about having another baby. I was on team baby number 2. My husband's an only child. So like, he was going to take a little bit more convincing, but I think he was on the same page. He just hadn't admitted it yet.
You'll talk him into it. I have a feeling.
Then about a month later, like I said, it was Super Bowl weekend, and I wasn't feeling great. And I used to wear a Whoop. I don't know if you've ever heard the research about a Whoop, but it felt like the fitness tracker thing. That's so cool. The technology of it's really cool. It's just really expensive, and I don't want to pay for it right now. But it picked up that my heart rate had spiked, and that my resting blood pressure was weird. I had a fever, not a fever, but like my body temperature was elevated. I just wasn't resting, because my heart rate, our heart rates are normally like low 30s, low 50s, like lower. And it was at 80, no matter what. Like I would just lay down and I'd just be like pounding. I was like, what is wrong with me? Did I get a virus? Like, what is happening? And my period after my son, I didn't get a period at all while breastfeeding, which I think paid part of it into the bone density and the energy deficiency stuff because breastfeeding sucks you, I think. And my periods were always screwy, but I was like, I'm late, but it's only 2 days. This cannot be a thing. So listen, when Maddie sent me her picture, I was like, of her ultrasound, and I was like, there's no way. Maybe I'm only 2 days late. Maybe I just have a virus after the marathon. Like it has to be a virus. And the next day I went to go check on one of my middle schools due to injury evaluation. And I was driving by a Tom-Thumb and I was like, you know what?
Pick it up,
I'm
see what happens.
going to just go take pregnancy tests. Let's see what happens. So I get back to work, talking to my really good friend, one of my coworkers, and I'm like, Shelby, this is what's going on. And she just looks at me. She's shut up. And why are you still talking? Go take the pregnancy test. Okay. So I PM pregnancy test. And before I had even pulled my pants up after going to the bathroom, it was positive. And I was like,
Wow.
there's no way. And I get up and I'm like, what? And she's, show me. So I showed her and yep. It was literally like, oh my goodness. It was almost to the month after that marathon. So I would like it known because I've had a few people ask me, were you pregnant during the marathon? I was not, but it literally happened. Apparently we celebrated.
Wow.
Too. But yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah. You can have another baby.
Yeah. So then there was a little
February. You knew.
That October. Yeah. Yep. It was wild. And I'm not the most religious person, but I do think it was like the universe being like, all right, here's your wonderful magical marathon. Now you're going to have a baby. And it's like, okay. So
that's perfect timing, right? Nothing's
really
perfect,
was.
but I mean,
it's going to be a lot more sad for Boston, to be completely honest, because I was like, I worked really hard to go back there. And then when everybody was registering, I was like, that sucks. I should be there. But then on Boston, the marathon day, I was like, you know, I'm okay. Keep telling myself, like, I've done it once, I did it again. Running will always be there, but I wouldn't have this like wonderful, tiny little human who like literally just fit perfectly into my life. Like some people say 0 to 1 is hard, like 1 to 2 is harder than 0 to 1. But for me, like 0 to 1 was horrible, but 1 to 2 just like fit in perfect.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but the running though, again, I don't know what it is about my body. My body does not like growing humans. I didn't run at all really this pregnancy because I was trying to avoid the massive pubic bone injury. I think I stopped running like 10, 12 weeks. It was early because I started getting and I stand so much for work that it's just so much pressure on my pubic bone that I stopped running really early. And then I still rode my Peloton all the time, but I just modified as needed. Like I just stayed
Wasn't
such
as
a
hardcore.
Yeah, I was all seated. I didn't come out of the saddle very much. I got more into the power zone rides. I don't know if you've heard of those, but those are actually really cool. And I lifted a lot, as much as I could, but no. Yeah, and then somehow just really frustrating. My pubic bone ended up jacked up again. So I don't know why, but I'm like the one. I haven't met I've met a few people because I'm trying to just trying to find a community of what did you do for this? Did you have any of these issues? But I ended up with osteitis pubis again in my pubic bone. Got an MRI like 6, 7 weeks after he was born, maybe 8, because we'd met our deductible and he was an October baby. And I was like, might as well get this MRI. It's like $80 and it's looked at. So yeah, but this time it was, I don't know, it was a different kind of pain than it was the last time. Yeah, I don't know. For some people, it's wonderful returning to running postpartum, and pregnancy running is this beautiful thing. And then there's others that it's just not sometimes. And sadly, I fall into the not. But I'm trying to do all the physical therapy, all the core stabilization, but a lot of it's just rest, which sucks. So my son now is 7.5 months. I still haven't ran at all.
Really?
Like actually gone for a run. I haven't even tried. Because when I first had my son, I have a 4-year-old. He was 3 at the time. I'm almost 4. I have to chase him around. And so I couldn't even really do that and without getting sore and achy. But I can do that now. And I just keep telling myself, I'm like, I am going back to Boston as a mom. I will be doing that. I know that. But I don't have
100%.
to do that right now.
Yeah.
So I'm trying
no
to
need to rush.
Yeah.
You're still young and you're still going to be there. And you have the ability to do it.
Yeah, and I keep telling myself, like, I did it once, I can do it again. I know, another problem is I feel like I'm getting older and it's going to be harder, but it'll, yeah.
I mean, that's the reality, but
right.
I think that for you is you have the ability, I have no doubt. And what's going to be really cool is whenever you step on that starting line at Boston for the first time, it's going to be even more of an amazing experience than Houston was because you're there, you made it, but
I
you have to do the work.
Yeah, I ran Boston in 2017 and it was very sweet then,
Okay.
but I feel like this time
Second
it'll
time now.
be, yeah, it'll be a lot. It'll just be different and have both babies there. Although, let me tell you, going to races with tiny humans is so hard. It was my 4, he was 3. No, he had just turned 3. Oh my gosh. I made the mistake of telling him on the way to Houston, Logan, we're going to go get in the pool. The amount of times I've heard about the pool before we even, yeah.
Mm.
So I looked there, but my in-laws, my parents, somebody will be going to watch them. So I can marathon and then mom after because they're hard.
If you didn't listen to the podcast with I think there's 4 or 5 women that
Yeah.
did Boston, Maddie mentions she brought her kids to Boston. She says, "Oh my God, I think I might do this alone."
Yes, that I know that we were in Houston. I thankfully my husband went to dinner with and took my son to dinner with some other of our friends. And then I went to dinner with Dan, Randy, Caitlin, Ricardo, and got a break from them. And it was like the perfect moment I needed to just not mom for a second. Cause yeah, the next morning he's throwing up the morning of my race.
That's
It's
right.
like, my God. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's been an interesting journey. I wish I was like the other people, but sometimes I try to be more vocal. Hey, friendly reminder, there's 2 other people that might be struggling. Like it's normal. It's okay to also be on this side of the spectrum where returning to running postpartum is hard and your body is grew human. It's changed 12 different ways, or even like C-section. You have to heal. You have to recover. I have the pelvic floor physical therapist I worked with was wonderful at just being like, no, you're normal. It's okay. Because I always just felt like, why can't I do this? And I know it's not good to compare yourself, but it's also, I just want to do that, but my body's just not there. It's
Not
okay.
cooperative like that.
No, I wish, but no. And it's just accepted. And right now I'm just living in a state where that's not for me right now, but I know it will be soon. And
Yeah,
I
and
just,
I've spoken to a lot of women recently about that had babies postpartum, and you're right. Sometimes some people just don't recover as well as others, and it's a hard experience. And you telling us that story about, look, it's okay. We all have FOMO of, and I want to get back out there and run the 314 and under. I want to get back to Boston. I want to be with my friends again and all of that kind of stuff. And I think that you're a shining of example of you're still working hard. You're doing amazing things. And I think that's key. Maybe at the moment you can't do the things that you did, but yeah, it's okay. Find something
when
else.
sometimes like before when I had Logan, I feel like there was a lot of times I just forced it. And I don't think that did me like it's hard. My first son was not a great sleeper at all. He didn't sleep the night till the first year. And there would be times
Welcome
like
to
on
being a
3 hours,
parent.
I know, 3 hours of broken sleep where I tried to force a run to happen or I tried to force. And now I'm just, okay, no, you need to sleep. Sleep is how you get better. The workout will always be there later. I'm still very psychotic about doing my rehab to the point where it's like annoying. My husband gets so mad at me. Like, no, I have to do my rehab. Leave me alone. But yeah,
Go watch the kids.
yeah, let me go do these core exercises. But it's just, yeah, I'm trying to be more kind to myself this time around too. And just, this is where you're at right now. It'll be okay. You'll be fine. And then I just keep repeating that over and over. But hopefully I'm going to try. I don't know. I'm still breastfeeding. I don't know. Sometimes it's a different every day. Sometimes I'm like, I hate this. I hate pumping. I don't want to do this anymore. But then other times I'm like, yeah, it just goes. So I don't know when I'm actually going to try to start. I feel a lot better than I did. Like, I know I've made significant progress, but I know with the breastfeeding, I don't really want to rush back to running with my bone density issues because breastfeeding just takes everything. But I'm hoping maybe I'm just going to anticipate it taking another year again because that's what happened last time. But I don't know. I think a lot of it will have to depend on breastfeeding again. But if you get on the Peloton app, let me know. I'll send you the link.
I will for sure. And Amy, this has been really amazing. And I loved, and I'm glad Ray introduced us because
Me
what
too.
a great
Thank you.
journey and what a great experience. You've had some really great experiences, but you've also had some really hard experiences in dealing with what moms deal with and some of your own personal stuff too, right? It's not just being a mom, but you
Yeah.
had problems before your life
I know.
in some other ways.
I'm a mess.
So
I'm an athletic trainer. That's why I'm here. So
that's why you're there and you got the connections. And I think that's
yeah.
good. So the last thing I'll ask you is, did I miss anything that you just wish I would have asked or that you didn't get to say?
I don't know. I know I ramble because I was nervous. I'm not even going to lie. But no, it's mostly,
You did great.
I love that you're doing it. I love getting to hear my friends talking. I think it's so fun. I've listened, like, after and I talked, I started just listening to everybody. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, I love JB. He's one of the nicest humans. I can't say enough good things about Franz. Like, Franz is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been fun to listen to everybody's stories.
Yeah. And I'm enjoying it. And that's really the goal, is to get the stories out for the DFW area. Amy, thanks again for coming on. Please, everyone that is tuning in, if you haven't rated and review us, which I know a lot of you haven't because I only have 7 on each app.
I've listened to a lot. No.
So go rate and review us. It's helpful. Please, if you haven't gone to our newsletter, it's Substack. So it's dfwrunningtalk.substack.com if you're interested in reading about some of these. Thanks, everyone. And thanks, Amy.
Thank you.